Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us again. Today, I'm very excited to have with me Dan Egerton, the founding partner of Actus, based here in London. Hi, Dan. How you doing?
Hey, Paul, I'm very good. And yourself?
Yeah, not too bad at all. Not too bad at all.
Excellent.
Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate your time today. And I just wanted to basically talk a little bit about what you're doing in your business, because you're not an agency, so it's slightly different to the normal people we have here on the channel. But you, of course, work with agencies. You're in our space, and you've been working in the agency space for many years. And you're doing some really great stuff at the moment, which I'm hoping we can talk about. But I guess we should probably start at the beginning, because that's where it makes most sense. You could tell us a little bit about you and your career and how you got into the business and all the rest of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a bit of a bit of a journey. So I actually started my career at PwC, and the reason why is I'd always wanted to be a doctor until I got my A-level results and realised I wasn't going to be a doctor. So I was told go and do a career. So I went to PwC for a bit, then moved into the corporate finance arm at Baker Tilly. And from there went into an investment bank and worked doing transactions for a long time, and then eventually moved into doing consultancy work for the bank, and realized quite quickly that the solution to any of their questions and strategic issues was you need to sell your business. Because fundamentally, it was an M&A company. And I always thought to myself, well, that's not the solution to every single problem, and that's not even really what the purpose of a business should be, to just build it and sell it. So there's something bigger there. And so after 7 years of the investment bank, I left and set up Actus almost 8 years ago now. So that's been the journey.
Wow, yeah, it's as I say, slightly different to normal, but it's interesting talking to someone who's sort of come into our industry from more of the finance side of things. Because often, of course, that's the bit that gets slightly overlooked when agencies are founded, because obviously you've got the sort of creative partner than the suit, as it were. So why did you, tell us a little bit about Actus and what the sort of the genesis of the idea was, and where you see the business now?
Yeah. So we set up Actus about almost 10 years ago, and really what we were trying to demonstrate is that there's a different way of partnering with growing businesses to alleviate the frustrations of that growth. And what a lot of companies do is they bring in a non-exec director, for example. And the problem with that model is that you end up with somebody who's comes into the business once a month, gives you some advice on how they did it last time, and then leaves for a while, comes back again, and you spend half your time in those interactions updating on what the company did. And I thought there must be a better way for small businesses, small to medium-sized companies, to get the support they need to achieve the growth that they want. And what I decided on was a model where you wear three hats. One, you bring consultancy tools and methodologies that are right-sized to the business. Second, you do bring that elements of the non-exec director, where you give that external perspective to your clients and able to really show people how other people do things. But what companies really need, and really what the foundation and hopefully the secret sauce at Actus is, you need people who can roll up their sleeves and get things done. Because management teams of high growth businesses are constrained by the time that they have, and often distracted by so many exciting things that are happening within the business, that focusing on growth is a bit of a challenge. So we design the model so that you get all that support. You get the support of somebody who's been there and grown businesses in the past, who's got the finance experience, but also understands the importance of strategy and culture and employee engagement, and can bring all that together under one roof. And I can go on in a bit to talk about how we do that nowadays at Actus.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, you and I have spoken at length before about this, but I mean, agencies especially seem to struggle a little bit in this space, and sort of creative businesses. They sort of go through that sort of curving up depending
Yeah.
on, the trajectory. Why do you think there's such an issue within the creative industry and agencies especially with achieving growth?
Um, well, I think first of all we all need to acknowledge that in every industry growth isn't linear,
Mm,
and it's I've done enough financial models for startup businesses with a hockey stick, and then tracked that performance to know that the hockey stick doesn't actually exist. And I think people need to reassure themselves that it's not particular to them, that their business has got ups and downs. It's just life, and it's just the way it is. Agencies in particular, uh, and why I absolutely love working with agencies, because I've been working with agencies for probably about 15, 18 years now. So, and having gone from working on big transactions when I was at Baker Tilly and PwC and really big businesses, and found what I love to, the kind of type of company I love to work with in agencies, is because it's all about the craft. And when you're focusing on the craft and that's the priority, often the money is kind of a nice to have in most situations. It's like almost, I know I've worked with businesses where profit is a bit of a dirty word, and the money bit is a happy consequence of doing good work, and that's the way it should be. But there does need to be more balance, and there does need to be the appreciation that profit doesn't just happen, and that has to be planned for and anticipated in the work that you're doing. And also that having a business which generates profit doesn't need to be at the expense of being a purpose-driven business or looking after your team or producing great work. That it can happen in harmony. And that's why I think later on we'll talk about B-Corp and why that means so much to me. So, yeah.
Yeah, actually, no, I was just going to say, I mean, that's quite a good segue actually into the whole B Corp space, because I know this is an area, as you say, which you're passionate about. And it'd be really cool to understand a little bit about the sort of offer that you've got going on there, because, as I say, I know when we first spoke about it, it's something that's, is particularly interesting, and it's very prevalent at the moment, of course, for a lot of the agencies that we work with. Indeed, the mission, when you see that RFI come in and you're asked about sustainability, purpose, and all the rest of it. So how did you get involved in this, and where's the start for you?
I think it started right at the very beginning, where I recognized that, one, you couldn't have a business that's solely focused on profit, because that doesn't work, and just maximizing shareholder value, because that just doesn't attract the right type of talent or produce the right type of work. And at the same time, if you go too far the other way, then you just don't have a sustainable business and a company that can grow and can give people the careers that they're looking for, so people just leave. So it was trying to work out, how do you create that balance? And I often talk about it in terms of purpose. And I know purpose as a concept has been around for a long time. I think it's got a bit of a bad reputation as a term because it's maybe a little bit passé. But the way I would describe a purpose-driven company is probably the same way in which the business and society does, in which it's an organization that has a clear and inspiring mission, and one that goes beyond profit and shareholder value. And I think that balance of the inspiration and going beyond profit and shareholder value is something that I've been looking for in terms of a model that can really transcend the barriers of being focused on just one thing. And so if you think of it in that context, it's a company that actively seeks to improve the social, environmental, and economic well-being of all its stakeholders. And again, focusing on stakeholders rather than just shareholders, I think it's an important differentiation for me. But doing that while still striving to achieve sustainable growth and profitability, because that recognizes that we can focus on lots of things, but unless we are focusing on growth and profitability, it's not an exciting model that people want to be part of. And where I got really excited by B-Corp when I came across it 4 or 5 years ago was that B-Corp, if we acknowledge the transformative power of purpose within that definition, Then B Corp gives you the framework to turn purpose into action and really demonstrate how you can be a purpose-driven business whilst knowing what to do about it. Because a lot of people put it down in a PowerPoint presentation and it sits there and they talk about it, but they don't actually turn it into action. B Corp gives you the framework to turn it into action and validates it. So that's why I'm excited by B Corp and think that it's a very good framework for businesses to focus on.
I mean, as you said, I mean, B Corp, to the best of my knowledge, it's been around. It started in the States, is that right?
Yeah, started in the States. It's been around for quite a while now. You know, Jen, my colleague who specializes in B Corp as part of the team, she's been working with B Corp for over 9 years now. So it's been around for a long time, but it was a kind of very niche for a significant period of time, and then it's just exploded in the last couple of years. I think up until last year, there was maybe 6,000 B Corps in the world, and there are currently over 6,000 going through the process of certification. And so that's maybe 12, 15,000 companies in total, which is a fraction of the number of companies around. But it does go to show that it's a growing movement and it's got a lot of credibility. It's not perfect by any means. And I think what people need to acknowledge is that, or recognize that, when you become B Corp, it's not a stamp of perfection. It's a stamp of recognizing that you want to balance people, planet, and profit as a company, that you're not just working towards shareholder gains, you're working towards a bigger purpose, higher purpose, and that you're on a journey. Because with B Corp, you go through the assessment, you get the points, but each year or every 3 years when you do the assessment again, you need to demonstrate that you're improving your scores. So it's about a continuous journey, which is again something that I really like about the process.
And it's I mean, I've had a little experience of B Corp myself, but as I understand it, I mean, it's quite an in-depth process that you have to go through, and quite complicated to instigate amongst the team. And as you say, you never actually reach a final destination, as you were, because it's a continuous improvement thing. Mm-hmm. How do you walk your customers through this? I mean, presumably you have a framework that from start to wherever you happen to get to with them.
Yeah, no, the way we talk about it is it's about demystifying B Corp. So it's a very robust process, and it does take quite a lot of work to be assessed and to achieve the points that you need to pass. It requires quite a lot of systematic change within the company, especially if it's a company that is not well advanced on that journey. And so the way we go about it is by guiding our clients through the process, because the statistics say that 60% of businesses that attempt to become B Corp certified fail in the process. And if you think about it, it probably takes, if you're to do it yourself, probably 12 to 18 months to be ready to certify. And then you submit all your documents, and then it's B-Lab goes through and assesses it all and checks it. It all gets audited in a very thorough way. And then as a result of that, you find out maybe after 12 months after submitting the certification that you actually haven't certified. So you could have wasted 2 years of time to actually want to get to something and not achieve it. So what we do is, as a team, because we've been through the process many, many times already, we know what is required to get the points you need to be able to pass, to take the pain out of the process as well, so that it's project managed. Otherwise, it could be quite a significant drain on resources in a company, especially a small to medium-sized business. And what we've found with our clients is that where something may have taken 12 to 18 months, we were able to get to the point of being ready to certify within 6 to 12 months. So cutting the process quite a lot. We take the pain and the distraction out of it. We guide you through exactly what you need to do to be able to answer the questions truthfully, what evidence you need to provide, and where you might not have the systems or processes or the ways of doing things in the business already to become B Corp certified. You can we've been through it enough times that we know and then can help you put those things in place without you having to go out and invent it all yourself.
Okay, and obviously there is the process itself is quite an investment, both in time and in money, I suppose. But there is an upshot to this, which is a commercial gain at the end of it ultimately. And I mean, if an agency were looking to do this, what would you say the benefit would be commercially for them potentially of becoming a B Corp?
Yeah, I would always caution that if you're doing it for commercial gains, then you're doing it for the wrong reason.
Okay.
So yes, there is a happy benefit of a commercial gain, but you do it because you truly believe in the transformative power of purpose and how that can help you attract amazing talent, demonstrate that you're a robust, really well-run business. And all of those things come back to, yes, it does have an impact on the commercials of the company because you've got a more engaged team. You're demonstrating that you're a robust company. You've got good policies, procedures, structures, and everything else. And a lot of brands now are choosing almost exclusively to work with B Corp agencies or other B Corp suppliers. So there's that element of it. Not everybody, but there's definitely people there. I know of businesses that are actually in the process of being acquired, particularly because they are B Corp. Because again, it shows that you're a business that not only is successful and growing, but if you've got the time and foresight to dedicate to becoming B Corp, then it shows you're a really well-run company with line management team and all the systems, processes, structures, ways of working in place to achieve long-term sustainable growth. And then there's a lot of stats around how companies that are B Corp grow faster, are more successful, more profitable, have a better, more engaged team as well.
Okay, so it really is that sort of that balancing act and putting in those foundations and the footings, as it were, to make sure that you've got the ability to grow in a way that is sustainable, that you can actually control. But
Exactly.
and then the upshot of that happens to be, okay, well, you'll have a potentially more profitable business, but also even the other side, you've got something which is a better business, full stop, for everybody and all the stakeholders and all concerned. Okay.
Yeah.
And if anyone watching this is interested in B Corp, I mean, what's the best, beyond obviously reaching out and contacting you, where's a good place for them to have a look, to learn a little bit more about this?
Yeah, so there's loads of resources out there. The best place to go is to B Labs, and that's where you can actually do you can access it's called the BIA, the B Impact Assessment. And it's a confidential online tool that you can go in. It's completely free to use. You can go through, look at the measures that are considered as part of BIA. It's over 200 questions in the assessment. It's structured over 5 pillars, so you've just got to make sure you choose the right thing. And and it's totally free to use. So that's a great place to start. Then once you've had a look at that, and if you feel that it's something that is achievable and is right for you, then of course we'll be very happy to have a chat with companies. But I think it's really important to point out that you can do this completely yourself. You don't need to get somebody else in to do it, and it's free to do the assessment.
But it is always better to get someone like yourself to go through it, of course, obviously.
I do this because I truly believe in how business can be a force for good, and that's one of the key things of it. And if I can work with companies to make a meaningful impact that helps them become a force for good, then that's amazing. And for me, it's more about legacy that I can leave as the owner of a company than it is about just making money out of it, if I'm honest.
Okay. No, honest answer. And moving on slightly from that, but building upon it, I guess, you have a tremendous view across the sort of agency landscape, as it were, and also with your background. What do you think are the main challenges that the creative industry and agencies are likely to be facing in the next 6 months to a year that you're seeing from your perspective, whether that's financial or purpose-driven businesses or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's important to acknowledge that a lot of agencies are suffering a lot right now. There's a lot of uncertainty out there. There's a lot of businesses that are burning through the cash that they've accumulated through the quite profitable time post-COVID, and there's a lot of redundancies happening in the market, and it's not great out there in many respects. And some of those things are outside of agencies' control. It's brands needing to cut back budgets because they've overspent and ramped up too quickly. It's brands looking to bring in-house things that were normally done through agencies. It's fierce competition. It's a race to the bottom on price. It's increasing staff costs and difficulty in negotiating increases in revenue. And I think we just need to acknowledge that it's difficult out there for many, many businesses. Where I think the greatest challenges are is truly demonstrating the value of what you can deliver as an agency. And again, this is the bit that I love about agencies. If you take other companies that essentially sell time, you've got lawyers and accountants, and they tend to be quite profitable business models. And you've got to ask yourself, why are they able to sell time more profitably than an agency? And I think it's because of the professional qualifications that a law firm or accountancy firm have. It's that kind of mark of credibility, I suppose. But there's that, I believe, a lack of confidence in agencies and the value that they truly bring to brands, and that results in you giving away the strategic aspects that consultancy would charge loads of money for, and you then try to generate revenue on things like production, which is just a race to the bottom. And then you bring all the other challenges into it. So if I've got any advice, it's really look at your operating costs in the business right now, right size those to what the opportunities are. It's making sure that you're being confident about the value you can bring to your clients and how you demonstrate that value.
Interesting. I was talking to Tony Spong from the AAR yesterday, actually, and his view is very much aligned with you, especially on the sort of the offer and the value that agencies can bring, and not give away the strategic element of what they offer to clients. In fact, they need to upskill at the client service level to be able to have those conversations and compete with the consulting businesses, because they're dictating at the moment the direction of travel to a certain extent, and agencies are losing out. So absolutely. I guess we're all in the same space.
Well, Tony's a smart guy, so yeah, that's quite flattering to be thinking the same way as him. And like what a consultancy can't do is visually and creatively articulate a strategy. And that is what agencies are just absolutely brilliant at doing. And the more confident they can be in how they do that and how they share that knowledge with their clients and demonstrate that value, then the better placed.
Okay, I'm going to ask you this because I'm busy at the moment. I'm reading this book. I don't know if you can see that on AI, which I thoroughly recommend, by the way. It's a good read and not too difficult for someone with a mind like mine. But what's your view on AI? I mean, especially as within the creative industry, but also within what you do. I mean, do you see it sort of infringing on where you are?
There's a great little cartoon thing I saw when AI was ChatGPT last November was saying how AI is not going to take away creatives' jobs, but creatives using AI will. And it's a tool at the end of the day. I don't think we have any concept of where this is going and how far it can go and how much it's going to change the world of work. Yes, it is a massive threat to our industry. It's changing the copywriters' roles. It's changing what we can do with creative and visual work. But where it isn't yet, and I don't know if it ever will be, is able to have an idea that engages with a consumer or engages with a human being in a way that attracts you to buy a product or to engage with a brand or whatever it is. And so I think there's there's aspects of it that are definitely a threat, but if we think back to what the true value proposition is of an agency, I don't really think that's going away, because at the moment, at least, a computer's not going to be able to understand and to engage with the consumer in the way that a human being can. Do I think it's going to take away my job? Yeah, elements of it for sure, and that's okay. But again, I use it as a tool. I think if we all use it and lean into it and think about how it can improve the workflows in our business, then you got to see it not as a threat, but as a way to make more of an impact faster with companies.
Yeah, no, I agree, and as I say, I mean, that's an interesting read because it has a slightly different perspective, but yeah, I think it is. Ultimately, you're right. It is a tool that we can use to improve what we do, and if we are always one step ahead of where it is, and it's there, it helps us, then all the better. I'm conscious of the time, and I just wanted to sort of round out, if I could, by saying, if any of the mission agencies watching this, or indeed our extended family of partners, wanted to reach out with you, that's okay. We'll put your details up at the end, and that's fine.
Always very happy to have a chat and share my thoughts, and no obligations. Your friend's permission, so very happy to help. Yeah.
Great. Cool. Okay, well, we'll put your details up on the end screen. But Dan, thank you very much for your time. As ever, fascinating talking to you. Really appreciate it. And we'll speak soon.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Take care. Bye.